Okay, so let's start. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would really like to thank UNP for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts, insights, and just my experiences with all of you. Such a wonderful opportunity for me personally to just learn, grow, and also share my thoughts. And thank you very much, Amar sir, for that really generous introduction. It's really great to be back at UNP here. And contributing to the students in any way possible because I really had an amazing experience with UNP, and I would really like to take that forward in any way manner possible. So let me just briefly talk about myself and just run you through about me. So I've completed my undergraduate in Bhavans Vivekananda College, pursuing BSc honors in data science, and then I went on to do my MBA in business analytics at BITS Pilani. So I would say my forte is usually Python and SQL and machine learning. I've actually worked on a multiple predictive analytics projects. I've done actually my initial projects I've actually done here at UNP. Two of them were I actually really vividly remember what I've done as well. They were used car price prediction where I applied the linear regression model, and the other was bank term loan prediction where I used the logistic regression model. So I don't know. These two are projects that have helped me very much early on in my career, and eventually I did do a lot of projects. And uh, as I went through it, I've secured an internship at Tata Capital. It was a 2 month internship where I worked with real time data and worked on two more projects there, which are also involved in unsupervised machine learning. And then, personally, I also have published a research paper on chronic disease prediction, which again was published by IEEE. And right now, I am placed in Citibank for as a data analyst. And furthermore, I also have a 6 month internship coming up at Accenture in a data and AI/ML role. So that's a little bit about myself. Without any further ado, I'll just get right into the topic. So let's just look at what I'm going to briefly cover today. So today's session is simply going to be about skill development, especially in the field of data science and data analytics. Now I'm going to keep this presentation extremely simple. I would really love for this to be very interactive in nature, and that would really make all of it a lot of fun. So I would love if you guys would keep asking questions or sharing your insights. That will be great. So right now, let me just go through what I'm going to talk about. Initially, I'm going to talk about how projects are extremely important for developing skills as well as for building a career. Furthermore, then I will talk about the kind of skills that you would additionally require over and above the basic skills you require for a specific job, and how they are vital for success. Then we'll look through a three-step guide, extremely simple guide that can allow you to build your first career. And finally, we'll talk a little about my own personal experiences, my personal journey that have helped me achieve all these milestones. So let's get started. So the first and foremost thing I want to talk about is projects. So projects are actually everything. That is really an undisputable fact because let's just say that you're fresh out of college. Right now, you do not have any experience in your hand, and the only thing that can speak to your experience are these projects. Now, these projects are uh, you're not particularly telling a person that you are proficient in a particular field, but more or less they're also trying to convey that you are taking initiative to do something on your own. So let's say you're sitting for an internship, a job interview for an internship. The person will look through your resume and look at the project section. He's going to look that you have created a project, that you've taken initiative on your own to do something. And more than the content of the project itself, what's going to speak to that person is the fact that you've done something. So when you're at an early stage, these are what are important because you don't really expect to. He doesn't really expect you to have an entire body of work before you apply for an internship, for a college, or for a job interview. All these things, if you're getting into them as freshers, what speaks are the projects. I cannot emphasize how important projects are. And I still remember how these two projects that I've talked about earlier, that I've done at UNP, have been really instrumental in when I've applied for my MBA degree as well as for the internship. Actually, a major part of the interview was about these projects. They've asked me like, what have you done? Where did you learn about it? Or like, what is the intention behind the idea? So personally, I would suggest that start doing projects. I'm pretty sure you all are enrolled within the UNP course, and you already are doing some projects. But otherwise, also, I would really suggest that you go through and create a project of your own. I still remember my first project was actually something I did on the IMDb dataset. So essentially, all of you might know that IMDb is this website where it logs all these movies and TV shows, and users can actually rate these movies and shows. And I watch a lot of movies and shows. I hugely consume content, and therefore there lies my interest. And I thought I could do something with it. So one day I just randomly went to the IMDb website, and I tried to scrape data from it using Python, and I brought in all the data. And then I started just analyzing this data. I just tried to look at charts, graphs. I tried to plot it. I tried to group them. I tried to just see which genre was performing well, what kind of movies are performing well, why are users inclined towards a specific film. So again, it just all rooted from something I was personally interested in, and I just took it from there. So I suggest you just look into your interests. If you're interested in sports, then maybe just take a data set that is relevant to sports. That is something like, let's say, IPL or football or whatever you're into. There are multiple data sets that are available online, which you can just directly jump into. And they're going to be a wonderful foundation and going to really stand out in your resume because they show that you've taken initiative to do something, especially in something that's relevant to your interests. And that really helps a lot. Even if you're sitting, let me just share a personal experience that I've had in an interview. So going through the interview process, the interviewer actually asked me, like, have you done anything on your own? Like, have you built something from ground up? Now, there might be specific cases where people have done startups or collaborations, and they would have a story to tell. But if not, also, you do have a story to tell, right? Because projects are something you do by yourself. Even if there's a data set that someone else has already performed analysis on, your insights and your perspective is what you bring to it. So when you do that, it's really your version of the project that you're showing to the interviewer, and that's what you can explain to them. And also another personal thing that I've experienced is that when you do these projects, learning becomes so easy. Like it becomes so easy rather than when you try to sit down, open a textbook or look at a website and start reading stuff. It takes a longer time. But when you start coding, I mean, just start. I mean, you go open your Collab notebook or Jupyter or whatever, and then you start coding, and then you take a data set of your choice, you start performing something on it, you do an analysis. All of this just instantaneously helps you understand conceptually what you are learning. And it is much more efficient as a means of learning than I would say just sitting down and trying to watch a video or to go through a particular text. And it also acts as a wonderful learning tool, and you retain it easily when you're sitting for an interview, right? Because you have done it with yourself. So when someone's asking you about it, it becomes all the more easier to just communicate about what you've done. So again, keeping it very simple, projects are super important. They can help you in all throughout your job interviews, for your higher education and MBA. Since personally that has been my journey, I've quoted the example of an MBA. And also when you sit for internships, this is what you have to show. This is what you have in your resume that really helps them stand out, and then that really helps them connect with you as a candidate. So once let's say you cleared that step, let's say your projects are all in handy, you have that ready, and now what do you have to do? You have to learn and have some skills that are going to be important for you to obviously communicate in the interview that you are a very important candidate. But even beyond that, uh, why should they choose you? beyond your normal communication or your degree or your educational background. So for me personally, I think one of the most important thing to just uh, take a step forward within an interview or in your career is to have good communication. It might seem like something that everyone says, a good communication is important, professional communication or personal communication is important, but it is so true. I mean, it is extremely true. Once you have got into the flow of communicating with people or communicating within a professional environment or even a personal space, things become so much more easy. And it's always a constant journey of growth. So let me talk a little about myself here. So back when I was starting off my UG at Vivekananda College, I was quite introverted in nature. Like I used to talk to a very minimal amount of people, had a very close friends group. So a very close friends group, and as
Advaith, can you sorry to disturb you, Advaith. Can you please unmute yourself? I accidentally muted everybody. So there was some disturbance in the background, so I muted everyone. Can you please unmute yourself and restart? Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think
am I
that
audible
should be
now?
good. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Okay, let me just continue from there. Okay, right. So where was I? Yes, I was trying to give you my personal journey and how I approached communication. So as I said, I was a quite introverted and shy person, had a very close friends group, but I could also see that it was trying to limit my opportunities and how I communicated with other people and the kind of topics that I've talked with them. So try to, actively, build upon that. uh, I, one of the best ways to actually improve your personal communication is to just start communicating. Seems like very dumb advice, but believe me, a lot of us really overlook the fact that we are not starting communications. What I mean by that is that let's say you are within the setting of a college. Just go out to a certain club, a certain event that's happening, a certain a certain group of people that you know and you want to start talking more. Just start talking about stuff that you and he are bounded by. Like there might be something that connects you with other people, right? There's something that you're passionate about, that you're interested in. Just start talking, and it really really helps and allows you to build character. And I am honestly shocked by how much it does so. I mean, because early on, you might think it's not really that possible to speak, and you might think that speaking is like a gift that only a certain people have. That's not actually true. It's something that everyone can easily possess, and it all starts with just starting it out. Just go around, talk with people, hear people talk. And I also think that one of the most important factors in becoming a better communicator is to just be a better listener. If you start listening to people better, you can just pick up on cues and the way they talk, or just on information, and just convert that and add your own unique spin to it, and then put forth the great communication. So I think this is very important. Now, again, it's very obvious why it's important within a professional setting. You have to talk a lot. In my personal experience, when I was doing my internship at Tata Capital, the only thing that helped me was communication. The reason I say this is regardless of however prepared you are to go into a company and into a job, you will still have to learn a lot of things. Uh, I knew machine learning, I knew Python, I knew data science, and I've stepped into this really good role of data analyst back at Tata Capital, and it seemed like a perfect role for me. But the moment I entered the office the very first day, I knew that had a very big journey waiting for me, because what you know is just not enough there. You really have to start to understand how the company operates, how people within the company operate, and also how the data in the company operates. Now, data is extremely different and diverse across various domains, and it's not really easy to have a generalized kind of an information or knowledge about how to manipulate or handle data. So it always is a learning curve once you get in. You always have to start over again. And the only tool that you have to your advantage is communication. You go around, you talk to people, you try to understand how things work within. You just ask questions, you look into the data, you try to again ask a lot of questions as to how things work. It's all a part of the process. And that is why I've emphasized a lot on this aspect of professional and personal communication. It's super important and also extremely helpful. And naturally, even in job interviews, the only thing that's happening between you and the interviewer is a flow of conversation. And that, in order to keep that engaging, you need to learn to be a better communicator. And that's simple as that. And again, this also allows you to leverage the interview and, take it from your end. Like there might be certain moments where the interviewer might try to steer you away from the topics that you know, or it just happens to go in those directions. If you're a good communicator, if you're a smart communicator, you can easily try to turn the tide to yourself and try to bring back the interview to things that you understand personally. And and obviously, I mean, there are multiple other reasons why professional person communication is great, but these are some things that I wanted to really emphasize on. Another thing that I think is extremely important is the ability to adapt and learn. It honestly doesn't matter if you have an amazing skill and you're not able to build upon it. Like let's just say 10 years ago, ChatGPT did not exist, and all of us had to really put in our brains and code with logic, and you had to spend hours. If an error arised, you just had to go to Stack Overflow or some other online platform. You had to type in your error, or you had to find out what's causing the error. It was a long and tedious process. But now that you have some an access to AI, it genuinely reduces the amount of time that you spend in coding. It is a smarter way to code. And if you're not ready to adapt to that, if you're not ready to adapt to this change, then it all becomes baseless, because we have been given a sort of a gift within the coding community, that you have something as powerful as AI that's present these days, and you really have to adapt to this newer way of coding. And the important thing is everyone's going to do it. Everyone has access to it, and everyone's going to want to use it and leverage it to code. So now there is in the professional space, there is higher competition. So the only way to stand out is to have better knowledge, is to learn better. And that is where the learning part of it comes in. So you have to keep updated with all the kinds of trends that are happening out there in the technical world, and also up your game in that sense. Now, sure, I mean, anyone can code, literally just go on to ChatGPT and ask it for code, and it's going to give you a bunch of code as to what you want to do. But it only matters if you know how to use that code. The logic aspect of coding still remains. What changes is how you leverage it. So again, this constant ability to learn is very important. And that's what the interviewer sees in you. He doesn't really look at how much you know, he only looks at how much you're willing to know. And if that distinction he can clearly make out, you've actually gotten through the interview, because that's all they need. They need a person who's willing to learn, who's curious, who has the ability to adapt to the situation that is within the professional workspace and just go ahead with it. And once you have that, it honestly makes a huge difference. Now, another thing that's extremely important, a skill that is very fundamental, very basic, is Microsoft Excel. Now, I will very honestly tell you, I did not think Excel was important. I honestly didn't. I always thought it was like a very basic tool. And I really was not exposed to the absolutely amazing power of Excel until I did my internship. It was genuinely mind blowing what you can do with Excel. I still don't think there's anything as powerful as a pivot table or anything as just as efficient as a pivot table. Even when you try to code it right, you just don't have that efficiency there. The kind of efficiency and kind of uh, the kind of ease that you have with an Excel, it just does not exist. Pivot tables are super important, and the way they help you summarize data is just amazing. The amount I used Excel in that internship and amount I've seen others use Excel, the people who are working there proper, long time employees, most of the time they were working on Excel. And after coming away from the the internship, I've talked more with my peers here at the college. And I just wanted to know if that's the case for every single company. And surprisingly, that was the case. A lot of people these days are engaged with Microsoft Excel because it handles data in a way that's extremely powerful and simple. So I would really, really strongly suggest that you go and learn Microsoft Excel, not just the simple copy paste or like simple kind of dragging things down or stuff like that. Really have to dig into the deep, into the core of it. And I suggest you actually go and learn how to do pivot tables well and VLOOKUP. I think both of these skills are extremely, extremely important, and they honestly will change the way you look at data in a way. And it personally did for me. It actually changed the way I looked at data once I've learned these two skills. And another really minor but really important thing, I don't know if people talk about it. I still think it's like a thing that's very underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it, but keyboard shortcuts. Once you know these keyboard shortcuts in Excel, it's actually going to change the game. So I was just doing my work one day, and then I've just noticed someone right next to me doing the same kind of work within like, I mean, just within seconds. And it's amazing how much you can cut down on time once you know these keyboard shortcuts. They do seem silly at first, like how is not using a mouse going to be more efficient than using it? But once you really start understanding these keyboard shortcuts, once you start getting into the practice of it, it can really cut out a lot of time, and it's going to make your work a lot more efficient. So if you're looking to learn Excel, strongly suggest that you go and do pivots, dive into VLOOKUP, and of course, try to learn keyboard shortcuts. They're going to make your day very easy. And finally, especially within the data analytics domain, you honestly need to know coding. And again, I've talked about this a lot in the change and learn section of this, but an important aspect of coding is not how you get the code, is not how you execute it, but more like your ability to understand the logic. And that's all that is important these days, because as I've talked about AI, it just makes it all a lot easier. All you need to know is where to use the code, is how to use the code. It's like if you yourself are not aware that this is a regression problem, or this is a classification problem, this is supervised machine learning, this is unsupervised machine learning, or this is this kind of a problem. If you don't understand what type of problem it is, it doesn't really matter how much AI you use, you are not able to leverage that to the fullest. You will not get the best possible outcome if you don't understand the kind of data you're dealing with. So for that part, you definitely need to understand the coding aspect of it, understand the logic behind this code. Like for example, if you're using a for loop, what is it actually doing? What is the for loop going through? I mean, obviously it's iterative, but like what are the properties of it? Like how is it going through these things? Or if you're losing something like let's say a k-means clustering algorithm, what is it actually doing? Really understanding the logic behind everything that you're coding helps a lot. It helps you to think intuitively, and it genuinely helps you to put forth the work that is really, really much more efficient and a lot more accurate than when you don't know all this. You can ask AI hundreds of questions, but it's never going to give you the human touch. It's never going to think like you do. It's not going to make those connections by itself. You're there to connect the dots. and that is important. So in that sense, you really need to understand coding for what it is and the logic behind it. So again, just to quickly recap, I personally think professional personal communication is the most important thing. Ability to adapt, change, and learn. Obviously, then Microsoft Excel, something that you really should consider doing. And then obviously the basics of coding, understanding the logic behind it. Again, super important. So let's actually move to the next section, where I like to put for the three-step guide for your first career. Now, this is something that has helped me personally in the process, and yeah, it's given me a lot of I don't know, following these three steps have actually helped me a lot, and they're very simple. Like they're super simple. So number one, start early. What I mean by that is that start planning early. That's all. It doesn't particularly have to be that you do a job right after you get out of UG. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that you start learning these skills as early as possible, right? So a lot of this has to do with laying groundwork. And I can't emphasize on how important groundwork is. Like, if you're planning to get into a particular domain, just try to understand everything about that domain. Just try to understand the kind of colleges that are offering you an opportunity at that domain, that are trying to, you know what I did back at when I was studying my UG. I clearly knew that I wanted to study more. I mean, instantly, like I knew that I had to get into some college. I wanted to pursue a higher education, and I was inclining a lot into MBA. And if there was something within an MBA that was also going to give me a way to tap into my technical interest, that is the coding aspect of it, or the machine learning aspect of it, I was more than welcome to do it. But to understand all this, I had to spend a lot of time. I still remember that I made an Excel sheet which was just filled with these list of colleges, the kind of opportunities they provided me, the kind of courses they were providing, what was in these courses, and like what was the alumni of these college, and like all of this, like this big Excel sheet, like more than at least 50, 60 entries in it, like just all these colleges and what is the entrance that I need to write for it. So I just slowly started laying groundwork for how to go about it. And this really helps, because now you've started early, you've looked at all the possibilities. It really helps you cut down on your options. So once you've gone out there, written an exam, like let's say CAT, or like let's say snap, in this case was symbiosis, or any other exam that's out there, you can really cut down on options. Okay, fine, this is how I written the exam, this is what I'm expecting. Okay, so these colleges are clearly out of the picture now, so what is the next thing that I can do? So it really helps you channelize your thoughts better. So just really genuinely just start early, just do a lot of research, do a lot of background work, and it really puts you in the path. And also just start learning these skills early. I think UNP is a great way to just go about doing that. And at least personally, it helped me a lot, because they do teach you all these machine learning concepts, which are generally not something that you would learn at that particular point. And they really do great job. And I honestly have learned a lot for the sessions. And more than that, it's the projects that that come up within the sessions that are super important. So just start it early, even if you're not particularly into these projects. Just start doing something on your own. Just look for a data set, look for something online, you're like, or just look for a particular topic or niche that interests you, and just maybe circulate a form, just ask people their opinions, and there you go, you have data in your hands. Now try to do something with it. It's not just data analysis that you need to just do it on Python. You can just start off with Excel. Very simple, just start off on Excel. Do something, just kind of create charts, plots, bar plots, or anything. And these things actually genuinely help you. Now another thing that I really want to say is grab every opportunity. And again, super important, because opportunities, just I mean, when they come along, just try to engage with them as much as possible. It's obviously not possible to just grab everything that you get, but it is super important to just make the most out of it. I still remember when I was back in Hyderabad doing my undergraduate, I used to keep going to these fests that were happening all around town. I went to this one that was happening at Loyola College. It was a management fest. Again, at that point in time, it was nothing related to what I was learning. I was doing my BSc in data science, and this was a management fest, completely different. But you just go there so that you can get exposure, so that you can get a kind of an insights into what the other domains are, and just look out for these opportunities. There are going to be multiple things that are going to happen, and just try to grab them, just try to engage with them. And once you're within the environment of a college, the amount of opportunities that you get are going to are going to grow exponentially. Like, I've seen a stark difference once I've come here at Bits Pilani, because the way things operate here, it's not just academic in nature. A lot of emphasis is given on extracurricular activities, be it sports, be it events, or like be it anything. Like, there's a lot of emphasis that is given on giving the students most opportunities. A lot of events keep happening, and these are really important. I mean, obviously, on one level, they're super fun to attend, and they're just like enjoyable in every sense. But also, they really get you start thinking. You meet new people, you talk to new people, you get excited about things, but you really also start thinking as to what it is that you personally want. And is more nothing is more amazing at giving those opportunities than a good college. So right now, if you're someone who's looking for a great career or a great higher education, I honestly suggest that you go to a college that provides you these opportunities. I'll honestly say that more than the education part of it, these opportunities are more important. These opportunities, or the platform to give you these opportunities, is extremely important. And finally, just enjoy the process. I mean, like, it's all of the work that you've put in, all of the effort that you've put in. It's not going to matter if you don't really enjoy it. You don't want to be having the best job of your life and living in regret, looking back and being like, this is not what I wanted. Just enjoy the process and go through it. And even when you're doing it, you just know if you're doing something you like, you're going to enjoy doing it. Even in those times where you really have to pull in overtime, and like you really have to study more, or you have to just do a lot more stuff, you're going to enjoy it no matter what. Because all of this really only matters if you have a cool story to tell. So think about this that way. At least this works for me personally. So what I do is just like I keep looking at where I am right now, and I just keep thinking, will this be a cool story to tell in the future at some point? If the answer is yes, then it sure means that you're enjoying the process, isn't it? So this is how I tend to look at things. And again, it's a very simple little three-step guide. And this has personally helped me a lot, especially to just have early skill development, just trying to look through the skills and trying to lay groundwork and do a lot of research early on. That's helped me a lot. And to just grab these external opportunities that are not particularly relevant or irrelevant, that are in some way helpful and give you a platform to engage with people and ideas. Just try to grab as many as you can, and finally just enjoy the process. Just go through with the flow, just try to enjoy as much as you can. And so this is my this is what has helped me through it. Let me talk a little about my personal journey. So, and how I have really tried to look at it. So, so let me just really talk about my personal journey, and let me start from the beginning. As I've Let's just go back to the part where I was talking about Excel sheets and stuff. I personally knew that I had to do an MBA. Like, I just knew it, but I really wasn't sure where. So as I went through all these entrance exams, I wrote my CAT, and then I was giving Snap. I still remember a really interesting incident that happened when I was giving my SNAP exam, basically. So this was very early on, and I was giving my snap exam one day, and I used to make it a habit that I reach the center much early than it was possible, and I just used to start kind of communicating with people. Like I just used to start asking people right around me as to what their motivation was to write this particular exam. And I still remember this guy. Okay, so he was sitting to the left of me in the examination hall or in the test center. So I just looked over to him and I just started a small conversation. It was like, what is your motivation? Like, what are you writing? And like, what do you do? All this. And he said that it was his fifth time writing this particular exam. I was shocked. 5 times you've written this exam. It was honestly very, very shocking for me at that point. It's like he's taken 5 years off his life, and he was actually doing nothing. He was just preparing year in, year out, and he was just preparing for these exams and has written it 5 times so far. And I really started to ask him, I mean, what are your scores like before? And the surprising part is the fact that he said that his score in CAT was essentially 97%. And that's like a huge score. When you listen to it, it's like, oh my god, that's like a good percentile. That's 97. That's great. But the problem that arises here is with the sectional cutoffs as well. So he started telling me how sectional cutoffs were not letting him achieve where he wanted to be. And that's the reason why he kept on attempting again and again to kind of get to his dream college. And it was really an interesting perspective because I've not really seen it that way. You think that the exam is like the end of all of it. It's not really the end of all of it. Like if you score a good percentile, doesn't really mean that that's just done for you. And also, that really started thinking that at least this was my personal way of thinking. I don't want to spend 5 years doing that. That just kind of boosted my personal motivation to just to get into higher education as soon as possible. Now, again, I'm not saying this is the case for everyone. Personally, that's what resonated for me. And I just thought that, let me just do some more research as to what is there. And I was looking through stuff, and that's when I discovered that BITS Pilani was offering an MBA program in business analytics. Now, this seemed perfect to me. I mean, like, it's like I'm getting the benefits of an MBA, and I'm also getting the business analytics side of it, the analytics domain, which I'm very interested in, the technical aspects of it. And from there I started preparing for it, sitting through the interview, and then I finally got in, and then I was exposed to this really wonderful campus. In case you've never been to BITS Pilani, it's a brilliant campus. I mean, it's a huge, 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 huge campus. It's just an amazing platform. It gives you a lot of things to learn, a lot of events that keep happening around here. So it's always constantly fun, and you get a lot of exposure to a lot of events, and a lot of personalities just come up, and then there are a lot of talks happening. Just go down and you kind of listen to them. So all of that happens, and as soon as I entered here, like I was one of the first people to get placed and get a summer internship. So really, looking back at that incident now, it really just tells me how important those projects were. Like, see, imagine you're a fresher. You just come in with no job experience, and just within a month of college starting, you're placed, and you're getting a summer internship. The only thing the interviewer would have seen in you is that you had something in your resume, or in you that he really resonated with. Now, when a company is hiring for a data science role, it's going to look at your projects. It's going to look at what you've done before, and that's what a major portion of my interview is about. They'll ask me a lot about my projects. They ask me a lot about what I did there, about machine learning, and all of these things. That was really, really, really crucial in securing that. And that's where the communication part of it comes in. That's where the curiosity, the ability to learn part of it comes in, and that's where the projects come in. And all of it's just really really helped me personally to just get that right balance within the interviews. And again, right now I've secured an analyst position in Citibank as well. So again, these same principles that I've been following have again helped me a lot. And personally, one other thing that I really that I really would recommend or like would suggest, because it really worked for me, is that you really need to understand the kind of company you're getting into based on your skills. Instead of just blindly trying to apply for whatever you want, it really helps to just do a lot of background work on it. Like just be aware of the kind of company you're applying for and see if that's a good fit for you. And again, not too much that you lose out on great opportunities, but it's very important to be picky to a certain extent, at least, because if you sit for an interview that's not well within your knowledge or your scope of knowledge, the interviewer is not going to find anything within you that's going to interest him or attract him to give you that particular role. So it's actually super important to kind of understand the kind of role you're sitting for, and then just have a conversation. Like, to me, I always have fun with interviews. In fact, there's something that I actually told in my interview. So I think the interviewer asked me if I was nervous or not. Then I just started telling them I actually enjoy the process of interviews. It's really fun because you're just having a conversation with the person. Once you really stop thinking of it as something that decides your fate and something that everything depends on it, if you stop thinking about it that way, it really is fun. It's like you're getting to talk to someone within the industry and you're just gonna get first-hand insights. And actually, a small tip, something that really helps me all the time, I just kind of skim through their websites and look at something that catches my eye. Like you go through the website of the company and there's some key piece of information that's really interesting. I just take that piece of information and ask them in the interviews. Almost every single interviewer just has that section where it's like, do you have any questions for us? I just like, yeah. So I was going through your website and I saw this particular thing that really caught my eye and it was really interesting. So could you please tell me more about it? So now this is a twofold thing. One, you're gonna get an understanding as to what that particular thing that caught your attention is going to give you a deeper insight from the perspective of the company. And also the interviewer is going to know and understand that you're a curious individual, that you're a guy who is willing to learn, and that's the reason you asked the question in the first place. And that honestly just tends to give the interviewers an idea of your identity, and that is absolutely great. Another thing, I think it's a very general thing that people keep saying, is that if you do not know anything in an interview, don't try to, you know, cover it up. Just tell them that you don't know, or just try to communicate it in a way where you tell them that you know the gist of it, but you can't go deeper into it because you're not really learned about it. If you communicate that well enough within an interview, then I think you're all sorted, because more than the technical aspects of it, it's absolutely important that you really get into the qualities, which as we discussed before, and these are the things that really help the interviewer understand what kind of candidate you are. And yes, a lot of interviews are highly dependent on luck. There is definitely a luck factor involved. Um, and there's no hard and fast rule. Like, you see some of the best students not get into the best companies or not get a job at all, and you see some of the students which are not academically proficient, and they end up bagging the best of the best. So it's a very luck based thing, and there is not really a one particular pathway that you can follow and you can be like, yeah, perfect, this is what's going to lead me to success. But also, another side to that is that you still have a lot of the interview in your own hands. If you really know what you're talking about, and if you know how to communicate it, and if you understand what the interviewer looks for you in the interview, and if you understand what the company is offering you, and if you understand what you want from the company, it becomes so much more easier. At least the factors that you can control, you are able to do that. And I think, putting the luck of it aside, you still are giving your personal best, and sometimes that's all that matters. You can come out of a bad interview and still feel good about it because it's the best you've done. They might not have selected you, but it is the best that you've given. So all that matters, I'm just going to end it here. Um Personally, from my journey, I would say that all that matters is giving your best. Things tend to fall in your way. Just try to understand and try to look for what you want. And if you're clear in what you want and what you're getting from a particular company or from a particular experience, I think that's all that matters. Um, Again, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, share my experiences. Thank you very much. If you guys have any sort of questions, please feel free to ask me, and we can have a really fun and enjoyable discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Advaith. That was really an effective session, I would say, because you just didn't touch upon the technical aspects. Again, the two other things that I also personally believe are very important as a student, as a professional, whatever, whichever part of your career you are, is not only the technical stuff that you learn and all those things, also the soft skills. You touched upon that, like, and I can tell you, like, when it comes to communication, I was just like Advait. I was a very shy kid in my school until my high school. I was I wouldn't say I was introvert, but I wouldn't open up to everybody. I was just like I had a select few with whom I was very free, confident. I would have fun. I was very loud on the grounds when I'm playing sports. But again, in the class, I would be quiet and all those things. But no, you got to start it somewhere. So when I went to undergrad, and that's where I also started opening up. I started just speaking because I was doing something on the communication skills, and that area was where I had to interact with many people. So that was my first journey in the education space, where we started an institute in Hyderabad to help students from vernacular background who were coming from Telugu medium or Hindi medium background, trying to make a career or in Hyderabad. How do we train them in English? Because my background, academic background, was schooling and all was in English medium. So I was pretty much confident in the language. It's just that I was not so confident speaking up. I would say public speaking was not the great factor. But you got to start somewhere. Don't wait for that moment. Even if you are say on a scale of 1 to 5 on a lower metrics, you can start any day and you can become confident. It takes just a few months or year of consistent effort, and the communication skills can be acquired. So no, you touched upon that, and the third thing is the social skills. You also touched upon social skills. Have fun. No, when you're in college, attend fest, be part of the programs. Try to look into the other aspects of the management skills, leadership skills, and all those things. So these are a couple of things that you should. And I would certainly say, like, we'll certainly start the Q&A. And if you have anybody has any questions, they can type in the chat, and I'm going to pick up from there. Again, one few things I want to talk about is projects that Advait mentioned about, like start early. Don't wait for whatever you're learning, whether you're in data skills or your IT skills, marketing skills, anything that you're learning. Try to have a very project-based approach. It helps you in two ways. You really, when you apply your knowledge, theoretical knowledge into something, doing a project, you get that how you apply that knowledge, and you get that confidence in it. So number one part is the acquiring the confidence. And B is, of course, when you go for job interviews and all, for internships or job interviews, those really boost your as a candidate, that boosts your chances of getting an internship or a job. So these are two aspects because of which project based learning is very important. So whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing, I'm saying, of course, we at UNP, our core part is project based learning. All courses have projects, but even if you are not associated with us or you want to reach out to some other place, make sure they teach projects, and ask students there, check with them whether they're really doing teaching some projects or not, because that's where your real learning will happen, and you will be able to benefit from that later on. Again, the other things is like topics that you start with. And Advait mentioned he liked movies, so he picked up a topic of project which was related to movies. That relates to me when I started coding. I remember because I used to love art, and the programming language, which was in my fourth grade, I remember I started programming, and that was Logo. It's a programming language which can help you design things. And I was pretty much into arts. But that immediately I fell in love with coding because They started when in my school they started with coding for designing, drawing, and all the stuff. And so if you're interested in any specific topic, try to, when you're picking your first project, pick up a topic that is of your interest. And I can tell you there'll be two. It's like a psychology that works behind it. So of course you're trying to acquire a new technical skill, which is challenging because you haven't done that. But just to make it soften things a little bit, the project title that you have picked up is something of your interest, be it movies, be it say some social data, or be it anything around like cricket data or whatever. I know one of our students, he picked up data around cricket and players and all those things, and that helped him like do his first project and enjoy his first project. So that enjoyment is to be there. And of course, when you're doing projects, you need some sort of hand holding. So that's the reason I'm saying when you're learning these skills, try to see that they are people who can guide you and hand hold you when you are going through that tough phase of the technical learning part. Then again, coming to the third thing is like one of the best ways I think is to become very confident in any area is to share that knowledge with others, and that's what is the ethos of UNP. UNP stands for United Network of Professionals, where we professionals actually came together at the beginning to be able to share our knowledge with others, to give students a practical aspects of things that we were doing. So back in investment banking, again, what sort of data analysis I was doing, how I was able to work on financial data to come up with my research recommendations and other stuff. So those aspects we were trying to share. Same thing you can also do when you learn. Try and share with others. And I remember Advaith, after doing HIT, a data science machine learning course, he even did a teaching assistantship with us, and he was helping other students learn it. So please do that in whichever space you are, whatever you're doing. Try and share the knowledge with others, and I'm sure you will feel much more positive, good, and more confident at the end of it. And the last thing is this habit of being able to learn and teach and other things sets you up for lifelong learning. So that's where we need this, and we are in an era of lifelong learning. So when you are acquiring skills and able to share to others, and you see this attitude will help you learn more and more things, and that's what companies are looking now. The companies are looking for people who just don't know what it is today, but they have strong abilities to learn things in the future, because things are changing every 3 to 5 years. Technology is changing. Different skills are required. So one of the top most priorities that uh, employers are looking in candidates are the ability to learn. So just help, when you're learning these projects and all those things, and you're teaching to others, it adds to those power of self-learning, which will take you a long way in your future. Yes, those are some of the small things I wanted to share, but we are just on time, so over, but we'll just take few questions. And if you have any questions, I'll be checking the chat and I will be this thing. And first question from my side would be Aditya, Advait, in terms of like, what was the importance of data skills you feel in terms of when you were doing other projects in the college, both your undergrad and as well as for your MBA? And also during internship, how much do you think data skills are important today, and how did you apply them in the other areas in your academic and professional experiences?
Right. So I personally think that data is technically everywhere. I mean, you're gonna find data wherever you look. Like even if you look at something like the entertainment industry, you're gonna still find data there. So that is not gonna go away. So regardless of where you work, I believe you're still gonna be encountering some sort of data. So for me personally, I think it's important to have data skills, at least to a certain degree. I mean, at least the foundational aspects of it. When I was doing my UG as well as PG, all the projects that I've tackled in both of those courses, I think what was important was to understand the data more than anything. I think a lot more emphasis should be given, at least personally, to understand the data rather than just jumping on it and starting working on it immediately. Like just take time to understand what the data set is like, what kind of operations that you can do on it, how can you clean up the data set. Again, I think a very underrated part of machine learning is to clean the data. If you overlook this aspect, it can lead to some disastrous results. It might as well just collapse your entire model. So I think it's very important to just understand the foundational aspects of it. And I think that a lot of resources online to just get started on them. YouTube is obviously great, but also I suggest doing a lot of certifications, which there are a good amount of them, and some of them are available in Kaggle itself. A lot of these certifications, just help you understand and get an eye for understanding data, basically. So I think at least to that extent, it's more or less necessary to have data skills. At least from my experiences, that's what I believe.
Good. No, no, actually, yes. No, I'll just add 2 points to that. Number one,
Sure, sure.
where do you start? The couple of questions which just came like, what is the ABC of or step to guide of learning, doing things, and all those things. And you don't have to really do too many things. Trust me. It's not that you have to acquire like 10 different type of tools you have to learn. Now, just I and Advait also mentioned, and I also say this all the time, is like Excel is a very powerful tool. We often underestimate the power of Excel. So start with, even if you have nothing, you have no data skills to start with, simply, and if you don't know even coding, no problem. I would say 70 to 80% of the data analytics job domain doesn't require coding skills. They are mostly done on Excel, Power BI, Tableau. And that's what I always say. Don't stress too much upon like yourself of like, I don't know coding, will I be able to do analytics ever? No, you don't need to. And that's a myth that you need to know coding to be a data analyst. There are two different domains. When one is the space where you can use a lot of beautiful tools like Excel, Power BI, and Tableau, and the likes of them, be able to analyze data and come up with some good business insights at the end of it. And then there is the other space, which is, I would say, less than 20% of the entire work in the industry of data analytics is a data science area where you need coding and all those things. So there you need to know, say, R, Python, whichever, and then you need to know data science, machine learning, deep learning, and all those things. And I also want to stress on this is that that area is not for everybody. Don't try to venture into data science hoping that you will start with data science and excel in it. That does require coding skills, that does require a bit of understanding of mathematics and statistics. But yes, everybody can do it. So you can just take a step back and start with Excel, Power BI, Tableau, get comfortable with understanding data. And then from there, you can, once you get some experiences in this space, everyone can aim for the data science side also. It's just that the whole idea is you have to just first love and get in love with analyzing data. So why to try for the tough area first? Instead of that, you can start with the easy one with Excel, Power BI, Tableau. And again, I always say there's maximum job opportunities are also in this space. Like Advait said, he used it during his internship. Entire work of my in my investment banking, Excel was the most powerful tool for my all my research work, for all my data and financial modeling work, everything. We did use some part of like SAS and other things for some sort of prediction modeling and all those things, but majority of it was done on Excel itself. So yes, that's one of the things that I want to share. And the important thing is like not to over stress yourself about these things. So whatever you learn, as I said, take two things, not too many things, especially if you're in the college level. Don't try to learn too many things. Just learn few and master them. So as I said, if you're learning Excel, learn it the core. If you're learning Power BI, try to go as advanced into that and all those things. If the same thing, if you're going into programming side, pick up any one programming language. Don't try to learn like everything. Learn one programming language, be it R, be it Python, and then like focus on that. And it's not difficult. Coding, especially now, is with ChatGPT and all. It has become very easy. In fact, we did the hackathon last year, where Advait and all were also part of the organizing team. We taught the entire the boot camp that we did for 2 weeks to help all the participants prepare for the hackathon. We taught coding without even writing a single code. We taught all coding using ChatGPT. So it's easy. It's just that sometimes there are other aspects of data analytics which you need to acquire. It's just not coding is not the no more of like a block for anybody. You can just learn analysis, data analysis. You can master these things by understanding whatever you're doing. You learn it. Even Advait mentioned that if you're learning machine learning models, try to understand what they're doing. Doing it is easy, but understanding what it is doing is the real question nowadays. Yeah. With ChatGPT, everything has become easy. How to write the code for all those things. You can get code for everything. But how you do, why do you apply a particular machine learning algorithm, what it does, And in case there is a problem, if there is a challenge, how do you address those things? Those are the things, are the skills which are now important more than coding skills and all those things. I think they have become much more easier. As I said, on the business data analyst side, Excel, Power BI, Tableau have taken care of a lot of things. You just need to upload the data and it will be able to come up with wonderful insights. But how do you really make more out of it and be able to add value to it is there are these additional skills that are required. So I'll go to the next question, Advaith, is this is something very important. Like, what are the key challenges that you faced when you were like, learning data skills? Was there any moment when you felt like doubted your ability to acquire the data skills? What did it ever happen to you?
Yeah, I would say there have been some instances, sure. I mean, especially when you start off on this journey, there's been a lot of instances where I started to doubt if I'm able to do it. And also, this thought used to constantly come across is that, now that everyone has access to AI, like anyone can do coding. So, like, what is it that's making me stand out? So, I think that's a very important question to ask as well. I mean, that has been there. As far as the challenges go, I think one of the major challenges is to just trying to stay relevant with the field. Like it is a constant challenge that I think anyone would face is that, as much as you have learned before, it's also necessary that you keep learning constantly. So it almost feels like at a point, like I've learned enough and then I can just stop here and it'll be fine. But, it is really it is really really important to kind of keep going, and that is definitely a major challenge. Another challenge that I might have faced, especially, is that I have learned Python before. And one major thing was I used to I always kind of have this kind of feeling that I should write my own code and like I should feel that way. So major hurdle was to trying to shift to the mentality of just trying to take it from ChatGPT. Initially, it just felt like cheating to me. Like, why am I doing this? I should write everything and understand the logic myself. But the transition is also very important, and it plays a very key role in the adaptation part of all of it. So I think those are some of the challenges. And yes, I mean, there were other minor hurdles, obviously, like in terms of the right resources to learn from it. There's going to be a lot of trial and error, at least from my experience. I mean, I have like properly wasted hours of content before I reached the right one, which was actually answering my thing. Especially when I'm doing a project, if an error comes up, then I have to stifle through hours and hours of content, and then I just realized that this is not even the error that came up. It's totally something different. It could be very simple as like you probably the data was not properly formed, and then you're going out thinking that it's an error that's related to something more technical. So a lot of these things happen, but yeah, majorly it's probably this thing about these two challenges that I faced.
No, no, absolutely. That's important. See, nothing should stop you. My question to is now I know there are a couple of questions which we are trying to address through all these other questions as well. Like, don't wait for there will be hurdles all the time, but that should not uh, you know uh, in any way stop you from trying it. Like, I'll give you an example. If you're trying to bake for the first time, you're trying to make a cake for the first time, and you don't have butter, should that stop you from doing it? I would say just go find an alternative to it. Take some help. Just like same thing. If you're struggling with coding, don't hesitate in taking help from ChatGPT. Let that not be a block for you for your further learning. Pick it, do it, and proceed and see next what the step is. Same thing as baking. You do it and just get the make the cake for the first time. That success of making a cake first time, it may not come out as a perfect thing, but the success will give you confidence to keep moving on and trying things in a better way. Same is here. If you're learning things, coding is a challenge, take help from ChatGPT. Let that not be a block. Move ahead, go to the next step, do the next part of it, the key part of data analysis and all those things, and come up with whatever insights you get or whatever you finish the project and you are able to see the project done at the end of it. It will not be the best project, maybe at the first one, and it doesn't happen with anybody. It didn't happen with me. I'm sure it didn't. The first project was not the perfect
Yeah.
project. When you will go back down the lanes and you will go back and see you will think that, oh, the first project was completely crap, or maybe it could have been done in a 10x better way. So don't worry. The journey is like start and keep moving, making progression, and that's where you will be able to see changes and things getting better and better for you. So challenges will always be there, whatever be there, whether we do data skills or we are learning a sports or we are trying to cook something for the first time. There's challenges always, always. So let not that stop you. Just move, take help from whichever means you can, and move on and try to get a good recipe out of it, so that that will keep you motivated in the future. So there's a question from Hasini Duvari. What basics, which basics or skills are required to do our own project? See, I'll take this, Advaith, and I'll quickly answer.
Sure, sure.
See, the basic skills are certainly you need to know the technical things. So suppose you are doing a data related project. So do you know Excel, or do you know a tool which can do it? Or if you're going into data science project, you certainly need some programming knowledge to be able to do that. So those skills are required. And when you're doing a project, uh, try to use as much as online resources to be able to help you, guide you. I do understand that it doesn't happen all the time. What happens is when you're doing your own project and you have no idea about it, it's like an 80-20. 20% times we get through it through help of online resources, but 80% times we need that sort of hand holding. So I would say reach out to a senior or a colleague or your classmate who knows those projects, and try to take that help from them. Because you will, as I said, it's 80% of the time we have seen students lose interest because they get stuck up in something and they haven't asked for help in those spaces. So one of the things, as I said, when you're learning these basic skills, you can learn about the entire step-to-step process of doing a data science project. But when you actually start doing a project, you will face a lot of challenges. So if you are stuck up anywhere, as I said, try to look for online resources or try to look for somebody who has experience in that and take help from them. That is the best way to keep moving on, progressing, and doing your finishing your project.
Yeah.
Other questions from Tanvi is, how can data skills drive better financial and strategic decisions in business? With first you, if you want to address.
Yeah. Sure, sure. So actually, this connects to financial, decisions. This actually reminds me again of a thing that I did back in Tata Capital, my internship. So most of the data that we were kind of dealing with was financial-based data. So I think on a company level, it really helps to take very important decisions. Like one of the projects that I worked there was to basically kind of classify various districts. So what Tata Capital basically does is give out loans and then loans to loans to customers. So what we had to do was essentially try to classify different districts from where people are lending money, and then try to classifying them as high risk, medium risk, and low risk region. So once you do that, the company has a clear idea on what kind of regions they have to avoid, what kind of regions they need to put more effort in, and what kind of regions that they can just kind of try to understand more about. So on a corporate level, that's such a important decision, like such a huge impact that it takes on the company as well. So that is one level of the answer. Another thing is, like, if you're looking for financial decisions on a personal level, I think we also have a lot of tools for that right now. And like I've seen a lot of people just using Python and Y Finance to just to personally do stock portfolio management, and just kind of look at which stocks are rising or falling. Actually, there's a subject that we have called financial analytics. It kind of deals with that to an extent, to kind of look at how the stocks are performing short term and long term. So on both those levels, it really works, and I think data skills are absolutely necessary there, and especially when you have access to data like the stock market data, like anyone can just access it online. I think it's super important in that sense.
No, and just to add to where this strategic decision making comes, why data skills are so important. Even if you don't start your career in uh, data analytics, let's assume you didn't start it. No, you were there in hardcore marketing job or on the ground operations job. What I always say, data skills are very important in two spaces. Number one, if you certainly start your career in data analytics, you will need data skills to start with. But there is one space where everybody at one point of will require data skills is when you move up the ladder and become a leadership space. There you may not really go and dirty your hands with data, but you should have an eye for data because when you make decisions, decisions, for business leaders, they actually by looking at data or the presentations, they make a lot of sense out of it because these data skills actually come very handy there. When you move up the ladder and you become leadership role, same thing. Suppose you started an operation person, you become head of operations. At that point of time, everything will be data will be there in front of you. You will know all the business things, how it is going and how it is working. You have data, and but a leader with a good eye for data, I would say, not 100, I'm not saying 100% data skills. They never have to go and dirty their hand, but an eye for data will help them make better decisions as a leader, business leader. So that strategic part of things, as Tanvi you asked, data skills are very important, and that's where it is important for everybody. Nobody is left out in this space. Like whether you are in IT, whether you are in marketing, whether you are in finance or HR, even if you didn't start with using data skills in your when you started your career, but once you move up the ladder and become leaders, you will certainly will be able to you will require an eye for data to be able to be a better strategic decision maker as a leader. Uh, and I would just take one last one. So, and this would covers a couple of things that other students have asked in the chat. Looking at the current job market, what data skills or certification do you think are most valuable for students to focus on?
Okay. So currently in the job market, I think it's very helpful to do something related to AI, because at least have a base level understanding of it. Because if I go back to my interviews and kind of recollect on what most of these interviews asked me, one very common thing was how what is AI, or they were just actually asking questions about ChatGPT, how it works. So you delve into concepts like transformers and all of that. So even if it's not in depth into that, I mean, it's probably because these interviews were very specifically for data and AI roles. Even if not for that, at least have a base level understanding of the kinds of AI that are present in the market, about generative AI and why it's important, or at least a single line understanding of how it works. Think that really helps. So there's this one course that I'm currently doing. It's by IBM. It's called Generative AI Fundamentals. If I think that's the name of it. So I think that has been very a good foundational kind of a course to just start off with in today's market. If you want to get a good kind of an all-around knowledge about just data science or like just kind of machine learning, so you can just go out and for starting out, I would really recommend the Kaggle courses. Personally, they've helped me a lot. I mean, the courses that are on Kaggle are just really good. And they're very important. There's also a very less talked about course. I mean, a lot of people talk about the Google Analytics course and all that. It's they're really good. But one course that not many people talk about is there's this website called Elements of AI. And I remember doing this course actually, and it's again uh, a very fun way to kind of understand how AI works in the modern world. So that again was a really insightful course. And yeah, I mean, all of these really helped me. And the best part is these are more or less, um, these are more or less resources which are free, and like you can just access them anywhere. And if you're really interested into the machine learning space, there is this one particular instructor called Andrew NG, who I really recommend you that you go and look through him. So there are a couple of people in that space that are very influential, or like very they just kind of make it easy to learn these things. So one of them is Andrew NG, and then another guy is called Ken G. So both of these are something that I personally follow a lot. But above and beyond that, I think all the courses that I mentioned, but at least for starting out, I'd really suggest the Kaggle courses, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah, what you can do is find a good resource where you can keep getting information about new things coming up. Again, like just to have a ground knowledge of everything. Say, like even if you're not working in AI, understanding what is AI, what does it do, how it works. That's important. Even if you're not going to build an AI tool at any time in your early part of your career, but having knowledge is very good because that gives you confidence and knowledge about things, and you can talk about it in interviews and all those things. But again, once you get a basic knowledge of all these things, you go about really acquiring skills. And in some areas, not all the areas, you pick up some areas. I said you can pick up the area of business analytics and try to master it, like Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. So that is one area, or you can go a little bit more advanced and enter into the data science territory with Python, R, and machine learning, deep learning, and those areas. That's a learning journey that you can take, and you can move on in that direction. And whatever you do, just make sure you have hands-on experience of working on those type of tools and projects that you have through the projects that you do. There's a good, interesting question from Annapurna. She says, I'm in the first semester of MBA and I want to choose finance ahead. So, which skills should I learn? Can you please give me some idea about it? Which you can also touch upon from your internship, and I'll also share my experience from my work experience.
Okay, sure. So, for finance, I would say, like, if I'm going at a proper subject level, I probably think that ratio should be a very important thing. And beyond that, I mean, ratios are something that are very much talked about. But I also think that, if you ask me from a data perspective, at least have an idea of how to handle the financial data, because certain things that you would do with data that is not financial data is not something that you can also do for financial data. Since we're actually talking about monetary terms, there are certain rules to it. So once you're able to understand that, I think you can go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I think just Excel is again a very, very important and very powerful tool for handling financial data. But yeah, I think that those are something I would suggest from my side. Amar sir, if you want to just take it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll happy to share my experiences. So I started with my career in investment banking as an equity research analyst. So my job was to publish equity research on based on data on oil and gas sector, because I was an oil and gas sector analyst. So a lot of macro data on oil, the oil prices, refining margin, all those things. And we used to study, analyze those things, and be able to forecast what could be the price in the coming years and how it would impact the companies which are associated with the oil and gas industry. So that is one of the areas. So that is one investment banking area. And the other area of banking is the personal banking. The banks that you see, like Citibank, or for the matter in India, ICICI Bank, SBI, and all those things. So there are two key areas, job markets for in finance. One is the personal banking side, and the other one is the investment banking side. So you have to, and there are different type of skills and programs which can help you acquire those things. So let's take about personal banking. So personal banking, there are a lot of things like banking analytics. You have credit risk modeling, you have marketing analytics, and all those stuff. So you can learn those things in the banking sector. So those skills would be very, very helpful. Then you have like in the investment banking side, if you're going, then you will go into understanding like the financial statements and all those things. So those skills are required there to be able to come up with financial recommendations. One of the things that I would say, apart from you're doing MBA and you're learning these core skills in your first semester, first year of MBA, things that you can even try look into is like CFA certification. So even level one, I'm not asking you to do all the levels, just level one could be a very good thing to acquire and have on your resume when you're applying for jobs, because it also gives you the knowledge. So it gives you good amount of knowledge, and then you will be able to when you go for interviews and all, it will give you value. So like FRM level one, if you're moving into the risk side, if you're more into the financial investment side, you can look into CFA level one. Annapurna, that those are things that you can do when you are doing your MBA. Good question. We'll take this last from Vivek. I know a couple of questions I think we have already covered. There was a question from Vivek. So what point of learning? I think we did cover those things in when we are just, taking the other questions. I'll take this last question from uh, uh, Vivek. Again, there is a question. Can you please stress upon reaching out to startups for project data or any other trusted website that you would personally reach out to for projects? By the way,
Right. I think this is a very it can't be a generalized answer that I can give for this, because I remember that for one of my projects also I was trying to reach out to one particular company for asking for the data. To cut the story short, I was not able to access their data. They were very strict with their policy guidelines. So it again very much depends from company to company. I also believe that if you are, it's much easier if you have someone that it becomes much more easier to kind of access data from startups or something. And I often feel that startups are more open to sharing their data when compared to the other corporations, which tend to have more legal and like all these boundaries to them, to their data, and especially when it comes to their privacy and all. There are some companies which again directly provide their own data on their websites itself. They're very open about it. So I think that is one way. Again, there's no one particular answer, at least from my side, because I have sometimes not been able to gather data from them as well, mostly due to data policies. But some startups, if you have someone, someone, I think it's much more easier to access it from that direction.
yeah, I would say like startups will be hesitant in sharing data with anybody outside the organization. It will be like 99.99% no, I would say. Unlikely that somebody would
Okay.
share. If they're a very small organization and they are actually doing they need some help on data analysis, they don't have somebody, that is when they would be happy to share with you to in case you can help them with that. Having said that, there's enough data outside in the world. There's a lot of data in the public domain. There's a lot of data in Kaggle. There's a lot of data in government websites and all those things which you can download and you can look and start analyzing them. So I would say don't be disappointed if startups don't share data with you, because that's not the only where you can actually get data and be able to. So when it comes to trusted website, as I said, to start when you're doing early projects, go to Kaggle, download the data, do your project, and then compare with somebody who has already done it there and see how did the results compare. Other thing, as you become confident there, then as I said, you can go to a lot of public domain data and you can analyze it. Things like government
Mm.
jobs, government publishes data on economics data, social data, health data. So you can download those things, and these are all publicly available at national level, at international level, be it World Bank, IMF, and all United Nations. You can download those data from there, and you can analyze them, and you see how what sort of insights do you come out of it. So there's like I would say there's no dearth of data in today's world. You don't have to really rely on startups to be able to provide you that. So that is one thing. And I think this last question is very interesting. I'll take it. I wanted to stop here, but Pujashri has a very good question. Why did you choose MBA Business Analytics when your undergrad was in data science?
Yeah, this is a question that I asked myself also quite a bit when before I was taking it. So first things first, the thing is, okay. So I knew that to some extent I was very interested in pursuing something that was technical in nature, but also looking at opportunities that you get from an MBA. I mean, it is not a myth that the kind of roles that you're getting for after doing an MBA are obviously of almost the managerial position. And putting that also aside, I think another important thing for me personally, it was the intersection of both of these things. I was always interested in kind of trying to understand businesses, management, and all of that. And also I had developed a really strong liking towards machine learning and data science. So this one particular question really, particular sorry course really caught my attention, because it is like the perfect kind of balance between again the best of both worlds, if you ask me. So at least from a personal standpoint, and MBA was always keen on doing it because of the kind of opportunities that it gives you, and just got the best out of both of the worlds in this course. At least from my standpoint and what I like, think this was the best option to go ahead for me.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the job opportunity perspective, I also agree that while some schools have very good MS in data
Mhm.
science and all those things, but MBA business analytics, as I said, the business analytics domain has 75 to 80% of the job market is in this domain, in this area. And very few, I would say less than 20% in data science, deep learning, machine learning area. So I think it was a smart move, Advait, for you to pick up this thing because you had a background of data science. You took up something which was more inclined or which had more job perspective. But again, it's a choice. You can also take up MS in data science from a good college, good university, and they also have very good placement. So you can even explore those things. But with that, yeah, I would like to thank Advait for really taking out time and sharing. I think this was very, very informative because having a senior or someone who is just almost at the end of his academic journey with some experience of internship and all those things, and now ready to take his plunge into the corporate world. I think your insights and were really, really valuable for all our audience today. Thank you so much for your time, Advait, and really, really appreciate you coming back and sharing your journey with all of us. And we wish you all the very
Thank you.
best. And to all the other students, no, you can always reach out to us, to Advait online, and you can ask questions. Uh, Coming to UNP, as I said, we have courses which prepare students for career in data analytics in a very, very strong and firm way through project-based learning. And if you have doubt about where you are and what you want to learn, what should be the right place, we don't offer too many options. We just have very curated courses. We know these will be good enough for you to start a career in data science in the field of analytics. And more importantly, and it's all through project based. So you will have projects to really master those skills. You know how to present those projects, and most importantly, you will be able to put them on your resume and be able to enhance your chances. So you're always welcome to connect with us. Ask us, where you know, if you have any questions or you want to get some guidance. We're always available. You can just visit our website www.unp.education, and you can find us there. And we'll be happy to address your questions. You don't have to really come and join us. That's not my objective or our objective. But even if not as a student of UNP, you have any questions, or you want any help on guidance about your academic or professional journey, you're always welcome to reach out to us. With that, I also want to thank all our audience students today who joined the session and for staying with us for so long. Uh, Wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Good evening, Amar sir and Advait.
Kalani ma'am.
Good
Hello,
Yeah,
evening.
hello ma'am.
yeah. Good evening, Advait. It was wonderful. I heard about you in the college, but not much. But today's session was awesome. And
Thank you
Amar
very
sir,
much,
you
ma'am.
got a
Thank
wonderful
you.
person. And at the end, the insights which you gave. There are some first year and second year students, many second year students, and some first year students as well. And all the aspects that you've covered, your journey, the interviews, the projects. And I think they have a lot of insights to take home today. Thank you so much, Advait. Thank you, Amar sir, for arranging
Thank you,
such a
thank you,
wonderful,
thank you.
Thank you.
talk.
Thank you. I'm
We'll
very
have more
glad I
of
could
these,
be of
ma'am.
help. Yeah.
Thank you, Kalyani ma'am, for those kind words.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.